You know, I mean, I've been on Japanese TV, British TV, Iranian TV. The media always is like, what, do you work for the Iranians? No, I like to go talk to the Iranians.
Mm-hmm. Well, and why shouldn't you? I mean, we have this policy in this country where we don't want to talk to anyone. We don't want to share our ideals. We don't want to have dialogue and conversation. And
well, it's like CNN. What is Ron Paul doing going on Alex Jones's show? Or all this gatekeeping of MSNBC.
Right.
What's Tucker Carlson doing on his show? What's it your business with 500,000 viewers? You're a joke. You're a hoax. You're a fraud. Don't sit here and tell me with 3 million listeners every day how you hang the moon and you decide everything. I'm sick of the condescension.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's a if you want to be a part of what we're doing, you can't be a part of what they're doing. It's like the cool kids table at high school, and they want to decide where you're going to sit and who you're going to be talking to.
I wasn't at the cool kids table. I was behind the rec building with the cheerleader. And on my lunch break, I mean, I'm just going to be honest here.
and in a similar way, that's still what's happening with new media, right? Instead of sitting inside the lunchroom, you're out behind the bleachers. But the point is that's the game that's being played. And you're absolutely right. It's about creating this image of we are the elite in media. And so nobody can be anywhere near where we are. And as you said, it still goes back to the fact that nobody's watching. I mean, how can you consider yourself elite when you have no viewership? When you get more viewers on the clip on YouTube than you do on your own program? It should be embarrassing. So it's interesting to watch how right now media does not have an answer to that, and they don't have an answer to it. I got to tell you, I've talked to a lot of very high-level executives about direction, what they're doing, where they're heading. And you know what the response is? By the time we crash, we'll be retired. It won't be our problem. That's really the thinking.
That's the attitude of the establishment is, your show's going to get really big, Jones, but America's going to basically collapse, and it won't matter. I mean, that is a loser attitude. They don't even care. They want to just keep riding out, making their money. That's why they don't care about the decisions they're making.
Yeah, no, they don't, because ultimately they're like, it's not going to be my problem. Let it be somebody else's problem. And so, because right now, it's like, we're not going to mess with the status quo. We're just not going to mess with it.
That's because the executives of the subsidiaries want the status quo.
That's right. That's right. And so they're not going to change it. And so if people expect that CNN's going to make some drastic change, that MSNBC will make some drastic change, it's not going to happen.
No, it's a facade.
No. Yeah, I mean, it's going to...
They will shut CNN off before they would make a change and put a pro-liberty broadcast on, because they're part of the occupying globalist media. Yeah, that's not rhetoric. They are occupiers.
No, they absolutely are. And the goal on their end, again, as we've talked about, is really about controlling message. I mean, just think about this. When we talk about things like cryptocurrencies, you know, Bitcoin, when we talk about things like, you know, individual freedom, when we talk about, you know, nullification, I mean, how many newscasts around the country even know those terms?
But we're popularizing them, and even though those are all messy things, they're real change.
Exactly.
And through the crises, through the struggle, we will develop better forms of it.
That's right. And to what you said, look, they're all forms of change. We're watching the change happen, and people are excited about those issues. They're talking about those issues every single day, but they're having those conversations either on social media sites, they're having them around their kitchen tables, they're having them around the water.
That's right. CNN, and they all wonder why they're dying and why Fox isn't growing. It's because you don't ever get out the same tried little rut you're in. You just do the same thing over and over again.
It's predictable. It's entirely predictable. I mean, think about the fact that 30, 40 years ago, you could turn on a newscast and you only had ABC, NBC, and CBS, right? And it was the same basic stories every single night. Well, here we are 40 years later, it's still the same basic stories every single night. That's what's incredible about it. What's so remarkable is that they are the exact same stories every day. It's completely predictable.
In the same order.
In the same order.
With the same advertisers.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's no question. Look, you talk a lot about vaccines, you talk about those issues. We did a piece during our Truth and Media season last year talking about just vaccine court.
We'll be covering it all in the Nightly News tonight. Ben Swann's going to be on the Nightly News with us, with David Knight. Maybe do an expanded interview. We've got so much news I haven't gotten to yet, but truly we're living in an authoritarian system. Ben, I've thrown out so many points here. What else is on your radar screen? I could ask questions all day, but what else do you want to impart to the audience?
Well, one of the things that we're working on right now is this. First of all, we're launching our season 2 of Truth and Media Project. We released an episode today, and I'd encourage people to check it out. But basically, it's taking on this political primary system in America, because we have this system right now that's essentially set up where about half the voters in the country are in a position right now where they cannot, we got pop-ups, sorry about that. Basically, what they do right now is they cannot vote in a primary unless they are registered as a Republican or a Democrat. But about half the country is no longer affiliated with either party, and yet voters have to pay $400 million a year to pay for those primaries.
And the dinosaur media is continuing to only try to prop up the two parties and give them attention while trying to stop the Tea Party from actually taking over the Republicans, so we have a second party.
That's right.
We don't even really have two.
No, we have one party that has two wings on it, right? It has a right wing and a left wing, but it's the same party. And you're absolutely right. But I mean, think about those numbers. 50% of the country is no longer affiliated. If you watch any national newscast, you would never believe that. If you watch that, you would believe the country is equally divided between Democrats and Republicans, and there's this cosmic arm wrestling match between the two to see who's going to get just enough leverage to win the next election.
Does the illusion continue to fall slowly, or could it collapse?
I think it'll collapse. I do. I think it's a generational fall too. I think by the next two elections that we have, I think 2016 presidential, 2016, and then when we go to 2020, I think you're going to see significant shifts in terms of the way the electorate is voting.
And they know that. The Pentagon in their own prospectuses say that. That's why they're setting up Homeland Security checkpoints, tanks. They're going, look, you're not getting out of this voting, boys. And that's the problem, is they're planning an authoritarian takeover.
Well, I mean, listen.
What's your take on all that? The billions of bullets, the checkpoints?
Oh, absolutely. Listen, we did a piece recently. I know you guys over at InfoWars broke that story originally about all that stockpiling of ammo, which, by the way, was incredible work that you guys...
Oh, no, it was important.
No, it was very important, and it was way ahead of the curve. What was interesting to me as a media guy is that it took about a year and a half for everybody else to even cover.
Oh, at first they said it didn't exist.
Right. Yeah, it was a fake story. It was a made-up story.
They had AP come out and say it wasn't real.
Yeah, and then they come back and say, oh, well, maybe it is real. Well, then it turns out, in fact, it is. Well, then comes the big question, which they never bothered to ask. Why is the post office stockpiling bullets? Why is Social Security Administration stockpiling ammo? I mean, why are we, especially right now, at a time where we have the $17 trillion debt, as taxpayers, let's just make it a fiscal issue. Let's forget about everything else. Let's make it just a fiscal issue. Why are we paying for postal workers to be carrying around that much ammo or to be trained that way?
Well, I mean, it's now 2.5 billion rounds of ammo, enough to fight a 30-plus-year Iraq war. When it was 1.6, it was like a 27-year war in Iraq. And then they're training for riot control. They're training in all the manuals to fight the Tea Party, the only opposition. Libertarians, I mean, they see that half the country calls themselves libertarians. They see we're taking over. They're preparing military operations for us. Well, but if they can never have that debate, if they can just deny it, then we can't debate it and get the moral high ground and point out how they're treacherous. So instead, they just want to deny it. Mm-hmm. See, that's why we have to continue to force the admission that it's real so we can then discredit it.
Right. Well, absolutely. And when you have this militarization of police going on around the country, it's just incredible to watch that happen.
Many anthropologists and archaeologists believe that before man even discovered the power to harness and use fire, we were involved in agrarian activities. That is, taking the seeds of plants and then replanting them to produce more. The very foundation of our modern civilization and human culture is centered around the planting and cultivation of edible plants.
Here are some of the amazing deals at InfoWars Seed Center at InfoWarsShop.com.
The Survival Seed Vault by My Patriot Supply features only the finest survival heirloom seeds for a robust and hardy garden, even in the toughest times. We also have starter varieties of the deluxe seed packages for fruit, salads, salsa, peppers, medical herbs, and more.
Go to the InfoWars Seed Center at InfoWarsShop.com.
And remember, the revolution against tyranny is growing. Many anthropologists, Bloomberg, with his mayors against people defending themselves, or illegal guns as he calls it, and Moms Demand Action, all 5 of them, they have gone to Facebook and are saying they're going to put it in with porn, not let people under 18 see any type of pro-gun comments. not let gun shops have online sites pushing them back to their legal gun shops.
That's right.
This is a real form of censorship we see. What's your take on that and other ways they're going to try to curtail our liberty?
Well, I think it's a very interesting moment in American history because you have something like the Second Amendment. You have firearms that are being treated as if they are this danger to society, right? And that's all part of the propaganda. This idea that we're going to create a picture where anyone who believes in the right to keep and bear arms is a villain, is pushing for violence, is doing something that's harmful to children. I mean, it's really it's actually a pretty smart propaganda campaign by the leftists and the globalists who want to take away those guns. But consider this. What Facebook has done is they've allowed us to depend on them. And we've built a whole lot of property on Facebook's real estate. And I think what's got to happen next is that there's going to have to be a movement to walk away from that social media site, whether it's the emergence of a new one or whatever it might be. I think liberty folks, pro-Second Amendment folks, there are enough of them out there. You could overnight, you could build a new social network.
No, I agree. We have planetinfowars.com, but it's kind of a basic system. People use that. It's planetinfowars.com. But the problem is, I get that, but it had major media support. They built it into billions of people visiting and hundreds of millions on it. YouTube, Facebook, even though they censor, that's where the fight is.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think we should build new alternatives while still going in there and dominating the memes. They don't want us in there because we're winning. Yeah. They have to shut down our free speech because we are kicking Bloomberg's butt.
Well, but I also think this. I think that Facebook's dying anyways.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
it's a pump and dump.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, they blew up. They did this big IPO, and which was a kind of a failure as they got it launched. But Facebook it's done already. I mean, people are moving away from it. That's another generational thing where they've already started shifting away. So I think everything that Facebook is doing now is just a nail in its own coffin.
And again, it's like CNN nails in its own coffin. They can't help it. It's like Reddit has these, we like to discuss censorship, but we censor the discussions of censorship. Reddit, Dig, all those. We used to dominate those, and they just banned our articles being on there. They have a little default that their super mods have where they just kill it. But it doesn't matter. You're voting for it to be upvoted. No, it's rigged.
Right. Well, because it's the appearance of free speech. It's the appearance of liberty. It's the appearance that you're going to have a say, but you don't actually have one.
And people argue, well, why does your comment censor stuff? Well, if you say we're going to kill the president or something, there's automatic bots and stuff or spam that block it. We're not even on there. It's Discus that does it. That way it's third party. I have no liability. Believe me, I had plenty of trouble running our own comments and our own message boards and things. But we're not censoring, but it's also our site. But a site that advertises, post your articles, and people can upvote it, and then you cheat the voting process, that's true censorship.
Yeah, no, it is true censorship. And especially when you say, look, there are certain subjects that we don't want you to discuss. So there's a difference between saying, hey, listen, we want to have civil debate conversation here. We don't want you to attack people and say horrible things about them on a personal level. That's different than saying this is a subject that you're not allowed to discuss.
Well, they won't let us post an article about how they make students and teachers take part in shooting drills in Missouri. You post that to Dig or to Reddit, and it doesn't matter how many votes it gets, it never goes to the front page.
Right, because like you said, their bots are keeping it down. And that's the whole idea behind Reddit, is it's supposed to be a way for people to, on their own, right, self-select, upvote, downvote, as you said, and they have control, but you don't actually have control. It's all the appearance of control.
On Infowars.com, if you look at the most popular, it's just your comments and how many people read it. That's what goes to the top, and we don't censor that.
Yeah.
I don't see some story up there that I don't like and go, hey, wait a minute.
Move that one out.
Yeah, take that off the top most popular. Now, sometimes in the featured news, I'll say, hey, I want this back as the top story. But
But that's a difference between censorship and placement of stories.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Ben Swann, thank you for coming in. Great to meet you in person. You are the tip of the spear in alternative media. We salute you.
Thank you.